The Kootenay-Columbia federal election 2019. 6 candidates, 7 questions, and only one 60-second answer for each. No retakes, no edits. Here we go.
Kisu Kiukiat, I'm Trev Miller, voice for the Animal Protection Party of Kootenay-Columbia. Right now we're in the middle of a climate emergency that experts will predict result in the death of 6 billion in coming decades. I was at Nelson's climate strike September 20th, where over 1,000 of us showed up with strategies for change. Each of the main parties in this country are instead encouraging business as usual strategies, maybe gently encouraging others to use less plastic.
Question 1. What is your opinion on the role that businesses and business organizations should play in addressing the growing concerns about climate change?
I was in Nelson September 20th with a group of between 1,000 and 2,000 others, many of whom brought real ideas in these areas of concern. My belief is personal change is climate change. Each business owner needs to look at their practices and whether they're sustainable. This sometimes includes examining old habits. It takes 96% fewer resources to feed someone a plant-based meal. That's a huge win for the environment. If an organization is holding a hot dog eating contest, look at a corn on the cob contest or holding the event using plant-based alternatives. Each of us needs to commit to personal steps in our workplaces and our homes.
Question 2. Nonprofits make significant contributions to the vibrancy of our community. What will you do to ensure nonprofits are able to thrive?
Currently, we're contributing over $4 billion federal dollars annually to industries that are ultimately ecologically unsustainable, with an additional $4 billion bailout planned this year for chicken, dairy, and egg industries because globally times were tough. The Animal Protection Party of Canada will put these subsidies into programs that work for Canadians and through basic income investment programs right to Canadians themselves. I worked for a nonprofit in Stony Plain, a multicultural heritage center, and it was an extremely rewarding and informative time. It's imperative we keep the vital works of nonprofits available for all. It's important to talk about individual responsibility regarding charity and other organizations. If our goal is to do the best we can for each other and this planet, then we have to scrutinize events we're planning. Can we move away from disposable items? Even the best of these goods takes resources to produce that a glass container, for example, overcomes in as few as 6 uses.
Question 3. Members of the Kootenay Real Estate Board are calling for a change in the B20 mortgage stress test. They would like to make it more regional in nature to allow the test to better fit with the realities of each real estate market across the country. A regional test would consider factors such as housing market activity, average cost of a home in that market, employment levels, average income, and cost of living in the area. If elected, would your government support this change?
The Animal Protection Party of Canada is willing to work with any organization and group aligning with goals of animal, human, and environment protection. The reality is, if we're going to weather the looming climate tipping point, there are going to have to be many changes implemented that will affect housing. One of these, due to the ongoing ability of automation to safely and efficiently replace certain jobs, will be a program of universal basic investment that will allow existing and new home buyers access to continuing monies they'll reinvest in housing, essential consumer items, and reduction of debt loads. I support community collaboration into investigation of changes to the B20 mortgage stress test and would be particularly interested to see if it's in the interests of marginalized parts of society. Thank you.
Question 4. Where do your government's priorities stand on the need for federal infrastructure investments to encourage the construction of new housing?
People in every community are worried about housing. I met a 77-year-old in Nelson who has to continue working or she'll lose her home. This is not the future anyone was promised. We need to dismantle industries being propped up with billions of federal tax dollars each year, investing that money instead in our people. If we provide basic income investment programs allowing people to be able to make rent more easily, that will give us the time we need to create the affordable and ecologically sustainable housing we'll need to move forward in a post-2019 Canada.
Question 5. What is your plan to ensure Canada's debt burden remains low and affordable today and for future generations?
We're currently spending billions of dollars funding outdated and ecologically ruinous industries by freeing up over $10 billion from 2 industries alone. We'll be able to implement basic investment and savings programs to ensure debt loads per person and overall are reduced.
Question 6. What specific measures will you introduce to help small business thrive?
People in Kootenay, Columbia having more in their bank accounts is very positive for existing small businesses and for individuals with a marketable idea either lacking in time or capital to follow up. Eliminating subsidies to ecologically disastrous fossil fuel and agribusiness corporations will eliminate debt each of us are individually contributing to these unsustainable operations and free up tremendous amounts of funding that can be invested in us all.
Question 7. What role do you feel the federal government should play to help our struggling forestry industry?
The hallmark of sustainable forestry from an ecological perspective is to mimic patterns of disturbance and regeneration. This is not the case. We need to get away from thinking about the environment as a place we can go to print money, as well as what seems to be a fairy tale of unsustainable, never-ending growth. Current parties talk about a vibrant forest industry. That sounds to me like yachts and luxury cars for forestry shareholders paid for by my environment. Currently, Canadians from our taxes are paying huge amounts of dollars to support unsustainable industries. By reinvesting these subsidies, Canada has the opportunity to be a global leader in research, production, and manufacturing of sustainable alternatives with skyrocketing markets as more people are realizing personal change is climate change.
And now we end with a 30-second closing speech.
I'm Trev Miller with the Animal Protection Party of Canada. We're the only group offering strategies aimed at real change, achieved in part through financially and legislatively strengthening Environment and Climate Change Canada, imposing tariffs on non-essential consumer goods from countries with less aggressive carbon policies than ones that we will implement, and putting in programs to ensure dignity for all. If we're going to survive the coming years, we need real change now, and I look forward to proving I'm the best candidate for the task.
Video production powered by Artistic Media Productions in collaboration with the Kootenay Real Estate Board and the Cranbrook Chamber of Commerce.